I'm Mahlon Delong. I'm a neurologist at Emory, and I've been working with the Dystonia Foundation for almost 3 decades. Hard to believe, but seems to be true.
And I'm Perlmutter. I'm a neurologist at Washington University, and I've been involved with the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation for almost that length of time, while you've been the scientific director for that length of time. It's been a real privilege. And I'd like to say really how important the DMRF has been for dystonia research and dystonia education and for training new people. It's actually been a huge sea change. When I first was involved with dystonia research, there was almost no NIH-supported research. Grants were very minimal, publications were very small, and once the DMRF became involved, supported it, provided funds to seed money, to help train new investigators, and to advocate on the Hill for us and talk to NIH and make dystonia an important thing, it's made a huge difference. And Mahlon, you've done an amazing job as the scientific director for all these years, helping to direct the DMRF and to keep them on track and to help advise them. It's been a real privilege of mine to be able to intermittently be involved with that and to see how you've done it and how you've managed it. Your scientific expertise, your ability to deal with crazy people like me is very impressive.
Well, I think looking back, I think what was it like at the beginning? It was just more an idea and a small handful of people who were somehow excited and eager to make progress for patients with very disabling and disrupting conditions and with little hope. I mean, in fact, at that point when we started, I remember there was great debate whether this was even a psychosomatic or a real neurologic disorder, and it wasn't really put together until shortly, after that, people started thinking about it, and arguments about genetics, whether it was any of it was inherited or not. Now we know the answers to almost all of these problems, at least in the broadest sense. And what were meetings that were pulling, we tried to pull in people who were not necessarily experts in dystonia. There weren't that many, but they were experts in aspects of what at that time was called brain science. There wasn't even a word for neuroscience. That was coined about that time. I mean, no, it was coined actually earlier, but a burgeoning, growing field in every department of medicine. And so the early years were slow, the progress, but it became more and more clear, I think, as time passed, how unique this was, and beginning to get some purchase on mechanisms and understand what the networks were that were underlying this. I think a lot of people were very devoted and contributed enormously to this, and over the years pulling together the coalition, I think, was a major step, and Joel was very much involved with that, bringing foundation investigators together and working jointly across disciplines and even countries, but centers throughout. So where we are today is light years from where we were at the very beginning.
Well, what the DMRF has done is helped build a team from the DMRF, other advocacy groups, and investigators, both from basic science and clinical investigators and clinicians. And that teamwork has helped to develop and support the Dystonia Coalition, but all kinds of research. And that teamwork, you've been the captain of, and you've done a great job, and this is going to be big shoes for me to Phil, and I will continue to lean on you and ask you questions and email and call you. So don't think you're totally out of the picture here.
So I'm happy, I see this as a graduation, not a total retirement, but I leave this in really in great hands of great people who have already proven themselves. And Joel is probably one of the best examples we have of somebody who's made a major mark and commitment to Dystonia. I'm optimistic.
Well, I appreciate
Very
it.
optimistic.
Well, we'll continue to move together.